Now, a lot of indie games make you think outside the box, but this next one is more about thinking outside the books. Here to tell us about the puzzle adventure, The Plucky Squire, please welcome James Turner. Welcome to the IGN studio here.
Thank you.
So, Plucky Squire, this is a game about storybook characters that partially takes place in storybooks, but they can also leave the storybooks and adventure in the real world. Is that accurate?
That's accurate, yes.
Yeah, sort of tell us what the whole idea of the game is.
So the idea is that you play as the hero of a storybook, and the book is all about them, but there's a villain who is kind of resentful of the fact that the hero gets all the limelight, and they want to kick the hero out of the book, grab the limelight for themselves, and become the new hero of the book. And you play as Jot, who is the hero and has to stop this villain from his diabolical plans.
What do we need to know about this villain? Why is the villain so jealous of Jot?
Well, this is a land of creativity, the land that the book features, and Humgrump has never been a very creative kind of guy, and there's Jot running around this land, being a hero, and he's also a writer to rub salt into the wound. He's like a published author, and everyone loves his books, and Humgrump is just very resentful of all the attention that he gets, and all the fans that he has, and he thinks he wants a bit of that for himself, and this is his chance. He discovers a new kind of magic that allows him to push Jot out of the book, and this is his chance to grab that limelight.
Is this Jot that we're seeing right here?
Yeah, that's right. The guy with the feather in his cap, that's Jot, yeah.
So it takes place inside the books. When you leave the books, how does the gameplay change?
Well, in the book, it's kind of a 2D top-down adventure. Right. And when you get out of the book, you can run around on the desk. It becomes all about the third dimension. And so the gameplay, it kind of shares similarities. You're running around, you're fighting monsters, but the extra dimension gives you new gameplay opportunities, and there are illustrations on the desk that you can jump into because you can pass between the 2D and 3D worlds. And so you can explore this desk, you can explore these bits of media on the desk and pop into them, play this little game here, pop out, go to a different place. So there's lots of surprises and interesting things for you to discover and explore.
And are we controlling Jot, or do we control his friends also?
Well, mostly you control Jot.
Okay.
But there are certain very specific points in the game where the control switches over, and you do get to play as his two friends.
Do they have different abilities?
Depending on the minigame. Their abilities are very much tailored to the minigame. So I think in the trailer we showed the first trailer, we showed a minigame where Jot is boxing of an enemy, and Thrash, who's the mountain troll with the blue skin, he is a drummer, so he gets to showcase his drumming abilities in the minigame. And then Violet, she's a witch, a trainee witch, so she gets to showcase her magic casting abilities in her minigame.
So fitting for a storybook, I believe the game is broken up into chapters. Does that sort of act as the level progression?
Yes, that's right, yeah. So it seemed like a good way to divide everything up. And we have chapters that are more based around the story, and they're a little bit shorter. And then we have chapters that are more gameplay focused, and they kind of expand out and take up quite a bit of a good chunk of playtime. So a lot of the time you'll be adventuring through the book, and then you'll get to a point in the chapter that you can't progress, and then your mentor, Moonbeard, who's a wizard, tells you you need to get out of the book to find a specific item that can help you. And that's when you jump out and you have an adventure around the desk, find the item, and return to the book. So that's kind of the template for how chapters go. But we do like to change it up and pull the rug from under the player from time to time, keep things fresh.
Sure. Yeah, we just saw a little bit of that, leaving the book and then coming back into it.
Yeah.
It reminds me a little of the 3D into 2D and then back into 3D mechanic of Super Mario Odyssey,
right.
Or even A Link Between Worlds.
Right.
Were those sort of inspirations for you? I know you've worked on Nintendo properties before.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Like, I wouldn't say that the game idea came from that. It was more like we wanted to create a game that took place in a book. That was the initial idea, starting point. And then what if you could get out of the book? So then naturally, you're thinking of 2D and 3D and how you mix that up. And then as like points of reference, we would look at Odyssey or Zelda and see how they might accomplish something. And so they were kind of things to be aware of and think about how they maximized like that idea. Yeah, so the good reference points to look at. Yeah.
The storybooks also, they obviously have text in them. It seems like there's some wordplay puzzles, or maybe you have to change the words in a storybook in order to pass an obstacle. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, we wanted to, I think whenever you make a game, it's good to lean into whatever makes that game unique. So this takes place in a book, and the idea was, how could we create a game loop that most leans into that idea? And so the first thing that came to mind was, well, books, they're dictated by the narration on the page. And what if you could mess with that? What if you could change that around and change the reality of what's actually happening in the page? That seemed like a unique thing to try and aim for. And once we kind of grasped onto that as an idea, it's like, okay, this is kind of a backbone of the game. And yeah, something that we really have been enjoying exploring in the game's design.
Which is, I think, what we just saw here. They just changed the word night to daytime.
Yes.
They changed the scene to daytime, and the monsters went to sleep.
Yes.
So you can progress.
Exactly. And at first we had more conservative ways of doing that, less large scale, like maybe you'd make a bridge extend or make a door open, but we realized it's more fun the bigger swing that you go for, like turning night to day, or a moat that is empty of water and then suddenly becomes full with water, like the bigger effects you have on the world, it feels more something that not just a Switch can do, it's something like you feel like you're changing the reality.
Okay, so the Plucky Squire was also recently part of the Devolver Delayed Showcase, meaning, of course, it's been delayed into 2024. Was that a tough decision?
It was, of course, like once you've stated the game is coming out in 2023, you're kind of always reluctant to make any changes to that.
Sure.
Like you have people who are expecting, like the players are expecting, and then your publisher is expecting. So it's never a particularly fun thing to think that you might want to go beyond that. But it's always like, how do we make this game the best possible game it can be? And like we feel like there are so many different types of gameplay in this game. There are so many different mini games, and there's the 2D exploration and the 3D exploration, and we want each element to be intuitive and polished and feel good, and that just takes time to polish.
Sure.
And once we realized, well, this is going to take a bit more time to craft it to be exactly what we want it to be, then it's a hard decision, but it's like, well, this is the right thing to do. And once we've decided it's the right thing to do, it's just a matter of talking to people and figuring out like how much time we need to be able to do that.
Well, I don't know if you noticed, but there are quite a few games coming out in 2023, so maybe it's not so bad.
Right, yes.
Look forward to this in 2024. I'm going to go ahead and put the Plucky Squire on my short list of games I'm looking forward to play next year. Thank you so much for coming by the IGN studio.
Great, it was great. Lovely to talk to you.
Okay, the Plucky Squire has PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and Nintendo Switch, and PC sometime next year. Keep watching IGN Studio here at Gamescom for more.